What's up, everyone? It is Epictastic Joshua here once again. Welcome to my best movies of 2023 video. So, as you can see, not filmed or edited this time around. I decided this is kind of like I said in my top 10 most underrated YouTubers. This is a way for me to keep some consistency by trying to using live streams. So we are going to be doing my best movies of 2023. This is not top 10. This is not top 15. This is not top 30. There were a lot of movies I enjoyed last year that I decided to make a top 24. Pretty close to 25 with because going with my age. But 2023 was a pretty unexpected year for movies. You had a lot of movies that bombed. You had a lot of movies that were not the most well received. At the time, we also had writer strikes and then actor strikes. So all of that is over now. It's a brand new year. I've had enough time to make the list. This is going to be my best movies of 2023 with my most surprising movies in live stream form. I decided not to do a most surprising and most disappointing and just put them in my best and worst video respectively. So this is going to be fun. I'm going to go over the most surprises. I'm going to go over my honorable mentions, and I'm going to give you my actual best of. So we're going to be here for a little while. So I'm going to try and speed through these a little quickly because I don't want this to be 7.5 hours because I'm only on the free plan for StreamYard and I want to do some more live streams. That's going to be coming. So that being said, if you guys are new to the channel, all my social media links, as you can see, are in the description box down below to my Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok. All of that is in the description box down below, as well as my Cash App. So you want to send any money to financially support the channel, you can do that. Subscribe and hit the bell for more Epictastic content. I got a lot more stuff coming this week. Be sure to like the video, comment down below, share this video, comment your best movies of the year, and a few disclaimers I have to give off for. I did not see every movie in 2023. Otherwise, this would be 7.5 hours. Two, if you're expecting movies like Poor Things or Barbie or Oppenheimer to be on this list, you are gravely mistaken. Those movies I have yet to see. Been very apprehensive and nervous to watch Barbie. I have Oppenheimer, just have not watched it yet because I heard the sound mixing in the movie wasn't that great. Poor Things, I just have no interest, not because of the content in it, it's way too much. It's like Frankenstein's 50 Shades, but if you want to go watch it, go watch it. And the last disclaimer I will say, these are my personal picks. So if you don't agree with me with some choices on here, please do not get angry. In fact, I'm willing to hear what your best movies of top 20 of 2023 would be, like a top 10 or top 20 or top 25. Even throw your honorable mentions in there. Hey, let's celebrate the great stuff in 2023 before I talk about the not so great stuff in my worst movies of 2023. There will also be a 2023 comic book movies ranking coming soon, which I pre-recorded through StreamYard. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time. And with that being said, we're going to talk about the biggest movies that surprised me in 2023. I did make some last minute changes. And a few of these I'm not going to go too much into because some are actually on my best of list. So let's do this. So kicking it off with the 10th most surprising movie was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Like I said in my review for this movie, which is blown up. Some of my videos recently has been blowing up. I thank you guys for that. I had no interest in this because I am a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original trilogy, aside from 3. I love the 2007 movie. I even liked the Nickelodeon show and the early 2003 show. but I've just been totaled out between the Michael Bay movies and Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover, which I don't even hate those. I have frustrations with the Michael Bay ones for sure. They're not the best totals, but when I saw this trailer, I said, "You're ripping off Spider Verse with the animation style." I hate some of the changes with April O'Neil, and it just didn't look all that funny. But when I actually watched the movie back in November and I reviewed it, it was actually pretty good. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem actually was a lot more entertaining than what I expected it to be. I thought it had a lot more fun to go on. I thought the characters were entertaining for the most part. I liked some of the changes they make. I liked April O'Neil, Ayo Edebri. She's not the April O'Neil that I'm used to with the red hair and such. Which is kind of the issue of the character this time around. But I appreciate them taking something different. I like the comic booky digital style, but it's enough there to differentiate yourself from the Spider Verse. And I like the Turtles. I like Superfly as well. The villains were kind of there. I thought Rose Byrne was good. I thought the voices of the Natasha actress and Maya Rudolph were a little weird, and some of the humor was a little impolite. But overall, I did enjoy Mutant Mayhem for what it was, and that's why it's number 10. Number 9 is going to be Extraction 2 for another surprise. I really enjoyed these extraction movies, and this is no exception. My biggest fear going into this was that, all right, Tyler, he died in the last movie. How the hell you gonna bring him back in the next one? But I kept my mouth shut. I watched it, and I quite really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it had a lot more going for it. I thought there was a lot that they could do in terms of what you could play with, and Chris Hemsworth is just fun in these movies. Gold Shifty Ferrani, absolutely beautiful. She holds her own. I like the action scenes, and it's great to see stunt coordinators actually come in and direct action movies like this. This is like a nice throwback to the classic 90s action films. I enjoyed this. Easily, this is my favorite thing Chris Hemsworth has done outside Thor. And it shows Netflix when they do make good stuff, you can actually get good stuff like this. Not stuff like Lift or stuff like Blind, which, ooh, no. But Extraction 2 was a lot of fun. Number 8 is going to be Aurora Tea Garden Mystery, something new. Now, this should surprise my friend John Avenger or you guys because I've gone on record to say that I am not the biggest fan of Hallmark. I think everything Hallmark does is a freaking joke. I think they have no effort put into them. I think they're just a bunch of nothing there. So going into this, I went into this pretty skeptical because I'm not a Hallmark fan. But I actually gave this a chance, and I thought this was actually pretty solid. Not the best thing ever, but in terms for what they could do with this, I quite enjoyed a lot what they go to. I also didn't mind the lead actress, Skylar Samuels, even though I wish she had more to do in the Meg to the Trench. But overall, I enjoyed Aurora Tea Garden for what it was. Number 7 is a documentary that I really loved, and this is 100 Years of Warner Brothers. They and Disney did not have the best celebration last year, but in terms of stuff they did, you had Barbie, and then you had this documentary. Uh, this was a documentary that like I said, Warner Brothers and Disney might not have had their best 100 year last year, but they did have this documentary. They did have Barbie. A lot of their DC projects didn't do well, but overall, I thought this documentary did a very solid job in showing us the legacy of Warner Brothers, why they're still beloved despite some decisions that's been made, like Zaslav writing shit off for tax refunds and stuff getting canceled left and right. But overall, I did really enjoy this documentary for what it was. I definitely quite really liked a lot of what this had to go off of, and this was a great documentary, taking a big trip into some of the great nostalgia, such as stuff they've done like The Shining and Casablanca and Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz and The Matrix, Superman, Harry Potter. I love this documentary, and this made me feel so much joy in three parts. Warner Brothers, I still love you. You're one of my favorite movie companies, and just such a great joy. Number six is going to be still a Michael J. Fox story. This was this was a rough watch. Hearing his story about how he's lived with Parkinson's disease, this was a rough watch to get through because it's so sad, it's so heartbreaking, and it's also really emotionally devastating to watch. So because it's a such an interesting story in terms of what he had to do in terms of him living with Parkinson's disease. That was not easy for him, but I think overall what this movie was able to do and was able to showcase in this documentary with Michael J. Fox having to live with that was really competent. And it just shows, even with Parkinson's disease, he still managed to stand his ground and still managed to be himself. Michael J. Fox, such an iconic man. Number five is going to be What's Love Got to Do with It, of course. And I'm not going to say too much in this because I will talk about this in my best of 2023. No, this is not the Tina Turner one. This is the romance one with Lily James. But I'm gonna save that for my best of. Same as Renfield, which is number four. My fourth most surprising. Number three is gonna be Boston Strangler. This was a Hulu exclusive, which I'm really pissed off at the fact that Hulu, you're just not wanting these movies to see the light of day with you and Disney or Fox, whatever your name is now. I'm still calling them 20th Century Fox. Um, this was a pretty solid thriller. You have, of course, Keira Knightley and Carrie Coon trying to track down a Boston killer. This is based on the true events. I enjoyed it. I thought this was good. I thought it was entertaining. It doesn't always have the best pacing, and the ending is a little bit rushed, but I enjoyed the acting, I enjoyed the direction, and I enjoyed the style. Number two is going to be Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Talk about a massive surprise because when I saw these trailers, I was not looking forward to this at all. I thought this was going to be horrible. I thought this was going to be one of the worst movies of 2023. I thought this looked like shit. It looked so bad. And I thought, oh my God, are we going to get a train wreck of a film? But having sit and watched the movie all the way through, I I was genuinely shocked at how entertaining this was. I thought the characters were great. I loved Chris Pine. I liked this world. I loved Michelle Rodriguez and Regine Page. He was good for the most part. He was kind of there. And then you have the female version of Scarlet Witch, which she does her job. I had to throw a Scarlet Witch reference in there because I love my Scarlet Witch. She ain't dead. She'll be back. But I really enjoyed that. The fantastical elements and the humor was good, and I also really enjoyed I really enjoyed the emotional side of things with Chris Pine and his daughter. Again, it had its issues with some of the villain stuff and some of the pacing, but I thought Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, this was great. And it's just a shame that this had to come out during the week of John Wick Chapter 4. Because I feel like if they moved it over to a different month or to a less crowded week, this would have done a lot better. But you squeeze some money out of it. So I do want to see more what they can do in sequels. I hope Paramount Green makes this a franchise. And that being said, Dungeons and Dragons #2. And I'm not gonna say anything about Megan until we get to my best movies 2023. So that's gonna wrap it up for my most surprising movies of 2023. So with that being said, let's get into the actual best of list. And we're gonna start off with quite a couple of honorable mentions, but first, let me just see what we're going. I'll be right back. You know, interruptions. You gotta love it. I'm sorry about that, folks. Any interruptions or distractions, I can just go into the YouTube edit after this live stream is over and just cut them out. So before, okay, so now that I've got my most surprising movies of 2023 out, I do have quite a couple of honorable mentions. This is a list of movies that were either theatrically released or were streaming services that didn't make my best of 2023, but I did enjoy them enough. And there's a lot of them here. So we have at least 24 honorable mentions and plus 24 movies in the actual best of. So let's go ahead and go over some of them. Like I just mentioned, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Really enjoyed that. Legion of Superheroes with the voice of Meg Donnelly from Disney Zombies as Supergirl. In my opinion, I think she should be the 10-year plan, the DCU Supergirl. I think she will pull it off very well. Pamela, a love story. This is a Netflix documentary about Pamela Anderson and her life and how she gets to tell her story about the way she was being treated and such. So there's that. Superpowered, the DC story. This made me happy as a DC fan. DreamWorks, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. I do want to give this an individual review, but this should have done way better, especially with the talent of Lana Condor and such. It had a dash of Luca and the Little Mermaid. Invincible, Adam Eve. The thing that introduced me to Invincible and proclaim my love for Adam Eve, Samantha Wilkins. She's the best character on Invincible. I can't wait for part 2 of season 2 and more to come. Blue Beetle, definitely deserve more credit. Paw Patrol, the Mighty movie. For someone who's not a Paw Patrol fan, I actually really enjoyed this. The Last Voyage of the Demeter, a very underrated vampire movie. It's bleak, but it's really damn good. Cobweb, The Blackening, Infinity Pool, Mia Goth, absolutely, absolutely. And Alexander Skarsgård was good in it too. A Haunting in Venice, the third movie in the Hercule Poirot trilogy. I want to see more. Fair Play. This is so much better than what I expected because I saw these trailers and I was like, this is going to be 50 Shades all over again. But it wasn't. It was actually pretty fucking good. and pretty solid for an erotic drama about how both sides of the working process can clash and how far you're willing to keep your romance. The Flash. This was on my best of the year for a little while until I rewatched it again. There are some very heavy CGI issues, and some of the humor isn't all that. And I thought Michael Keaton's Batman was just there. But I will say I did enjoy this. I'm more than aware about the allegations and controversies about Ezra Miller. We are not condoning it. Please do not bring that up. But they did good as the Flash. Sasha Kaye, woo! I can't wait to see more of her outside of DC. I want to see her do more. The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Asteroid City, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, Wonka, Ferrari, Thanksgiving. This was really fucking crazy. I can't wait to see more Thanksgiving. Reality. This movie shows that Sydney Sweeney is not just eye candy. She is a very strong actress. I've always felt that way. And at last, but certainly not least, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I watched this back in December. I watched it on the last few days of last year. It was great, but I need to freaking say some shit right now because if I am going to review this movie either this year or next year. But all of you people who want to attack Chris McQuarrie, Tom Cruise, Rebecca Ferguson, and Haley Atwell for the killing of Elsa Faust, especially you Rebecca Ferguson or Elsa stands on Twitter and such, and people, those of you who attacked me for not watching this movie when it came out, get a life. Get a life. Leave me alone. Let me make the decision to watch the movie or not. You and stop acting like a character death is the end of the world. All you think about is yourselves. I'm sorry, I had to let that out because when I eventually reviewed this movie, that is the number one negative I am going to point out for Dead Reckoning. The fact that so many people, including a friend of mine, which me and him were on good terms still, and all you freaking people online who want to attack Chris McQuarrie and Haley Atwell, all those people for Elsa being killed off, she has scheduling conflicts, darn it. When you have scheduling conflicts, you gotta do something. And if you want to really take your anger out on Elsa being killed, take it out on Gabriel and take it out on the White Widow. Even though I love Vanessa Kirby's performance in there, she's also a victim of why Elsa's killing was in this. I just need to get that off my chest because I'm sick and tired of people pointing fingers at Chris McQuarrie for a character he created. He can do whatever he wants. And plus, I don't think she's dead because she's listed on IMDb. So we don't know until next year. They're probably going to rewrite it, but it's still going to be a part 2. I wish it was the end of the series though. After that, but Tom Cruise wants to do a few more. You can't. You don't do this until you're 87 years old, Tom Cruise. End it. But those are all my honorable mentions. They just couldn't fit on this list. But let's get into what did make my best movies of 2023. And some of these are low, some of these are high, and some are going to be controversial. But again, my list, I don't care. Number 25 is number 24, I'm sorry, this isn't a 25. Number 24 is going to be The Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, this is low on the list, not because I hate Scorsese. I love Martin Scorsese. He's a great director. And this movie was really good. But there were some factors that played into me not putting this higher. One is for someone who watches a lot of movies, like me, I wanted to wait until this came on streaming to try it out. Unfortunately, the biggest casualty of this was having to deal with people calling me a cinema killer or a killer of the theatrical experience, which really pissed me off and made me just say, F you for calling me a cinema killer. But I decided to go ahead and watched it. I gave the movie a chance, and the film was great. I think this is a very well directed, very well acted film, very well shot film that told the story of a series of murders about the Native Americans Osage country that they don't want anyone to find out about. And it was great to find out about the story. It goes into that Scorsese-esque territory of killers and murderers, but it also has something good to say in its message. And that's the thing I did appreciate when it comes to this movie was it had something to say, and I very much enjoyed the story of what this movie was telling us. And the movie did his job in terms of what you're saying. And I thought overall the film was fantastically made. Beautifully well shot. This does not feel like $200 million. It feels like something that would cost 80 to $90 million, which Apple they invested a little bit too much money into that, along with Scorsese. But I get it. Robert De Niro is great as the villain. I thought he was fantastic here. And hey Eddie, how hello. I can't rule. I'm not going to be able to answer a lot of comments here, so just check your, type your comments there, and as I talk about these movies, I'll get to them, everyone. But I want to make sure I get this done. I don't want this to be on for 7 hours. But Robert De Niro, I thought was great. I thought Leonardo DiCaprio, not one of my favorites from him, but he does damn good in this. But easily the thing I was most interested in seeing is Lily Gladstone, and she hold on. Lily Gladstone should definitely be walking away with with a Best Supporting Actress or Best Actress Oscar. It's between her and Emma Stone, but I think Gladstone's gonna get it. Emma Stone, she has an Academy Award already. This is a movie, if you have not seen this movie, especially to Network 98 or anyone else, I would give this movie a huge, huge recommendation. But the reason why this is low on the list is because not only with the fact that I had to deal with being called a cinema killer and such, this is a movie because of its harsh subject matter. Because you're having to watch these Native Americans be killed and drugged and murdered and have their lands and oils taken from them for almost the entire movie. This is a 3 hour and 27-minute long film that honestly could have been trimmed down a little bit by 45 minutes in the first couple minutes. Or you could have had an intermission in. And I know Scorsese and others are against that, but you need intermissions to break up the long runtime like this. And this is a movie I will never watch again because the movie is so hard and devastating and depressing and emotion. It takes a lot emotionally to watch, but I'm definitely glad I watched it. I will definitely remember this movie for what it showed me, showing the horrors of the Native Americans. Number 23 is going to be The Iron Claw. This is an A24 film, which I do have a review for. I just have to edit here, which I did a series of cancel reviews on Twitch again. But I thought this was great. This was emotional. It was heartbreaking. but it was also a really devastating true story about the Von Erich family and how they have to live in their father's shadow, basically. I thought it was amazing. This was really damn good. There is one brother that they cut out of the movie, but let's be honest. You don't want to put too much depressing emotions in this, so it's a good thing they did take it out. I definitely think that Sean Durkin's direction was great. I thought the boxing scenes were fantastic. But even the underdog story of these brothers sticking together and they're there for one another. That was beautiful because I am the only brother of my four sisters, and I have a brother who I did get to see for I saw for my birthday, and this movie just made you want to call your siblings and just or tell them I love you. And this was a devastating film to watch. It was emotional. It was compelling. Zac Efron should definitely be getting a lot more Oscar talk in terms of this film because he not only is great in here, but he completely transformed as um as Kevin Von Erich. Jeremy Allen White was great. You had Holt McConnelly. He was fantastic. Lily James, she's always great here. She's not in this as much, but I liked her chemistry with her and Zac Efron. Like it's not too long, but it is a movie that will make you cry and it will make you tell your siblings I love you. So number 23 is going to be the Iron Claw. Number 22 is going to be Sanctuary. This movie, many of you guys maybe never heard of this movie, but this was about, of course, Margaret Qualley and Christopher Abbott as they're in a relationship with each other, and they they're basically going through the usual stick when it comes to the actual situation of the scenario. There of these two being in love, and she's a dominatrix. And this is kind of like a more entertaining version of 50 Shades, if you will. It's not toxic. It does have its little dominatrix vibes in there, but I think overall, that was a very fun sequence in itself. And it gave you what you wanted. You know, it gave me what I want. I had some fun. I enjoyed a lot of what this movie had to offer. And it was just such an entertaining sit through that it was really good. And it was so entertaining. And I thought the directing was great. I thought Margaret Qualley was great. She is absolutely stunning and absolutely hot. But I thought overall this movie gave me a lot to go on and it was entertaining. So if you for whatever reason did not get to see if you for whatever reason did not get to see this movie, I would definitely recommend this. This was really good and it was very awesome. So I will have a review of this. I do want to review this individually too, as well as Ruby Gilman. So yeah. That being said, that was actually pretty good. Number 21 is gonna be a little big surprise here. Another one of my biggest surprises of last year. This is going to be No Hard Feelings. This was a comedy that I saw the trailers to, and when I initially looked at these trailers, I was not laughing at it. This was from the director of Good Boys, which was released 2019. I also thought that movie was funny. But this was a movie when I saw the trailers for it. I just looked at these trailers and rolled my eyes, and I'm like, this is not going to be that funny. It also doesn't help that Jennifer Lawrence, she did take a little bit of a break, so this was something that was a little concerning because I do like Jennifer Lawrence as an actress. I know some people don't, and that's fine. There are things that she said about her being the first action hero and such. You know what? I don't care about that. That let them think what they want to think, but also they should face with reality. But when I actually watched this movie, I thought this movie was a lot funnier than what I thought it was going to be. And it proved that this is what don't judge a book by its cover. Because I'm one of those people who does that a lot. I judge a lot of movies and trailers by the cover. And I thought this was fun. I had a great time watching this movie. And it was fun. It was entertaining. The subject matter, of course, is not everyone's cup of tea, but I liked the premise of this woman. She basically has to date these parents' son in order for her to get a new car. And for some parents, I can understand is not going to be easy for them. This is a movie with the controversy that came out, but at the same time, they're not actually saying to do that. It's only fiction. There's some funny moments with Jennifer Lawrence and Andrew Barr Feldman, but I was also surprised that Jennifer Lawrence actually doing the physical comedy very well. There's some very funny moments. She is basically hot as all hell throughout the entire movie. And she still is hot. It's Jennifer Lawrence. Are you kidding me? You got to be crazy not to think that. If you don't like, but it will. If you don't like her, that's cool. But I thought this was fun. I had an entertaining time watching a lot of the moments in the whole scenario play out. I laughed a lot. There were some good moments. There's also very heartfelt, and it was pretty raunchy for a R-rated raunchy comedy. Not on the level of American Pie and such, but I thought it was raunchy enough. There was one scene in the movie which has been blowing up on the internet with Jennifer Lawrence basically just she fights on a beach. Let's just say that. She's fighting on a beach and she just lets it all out there. Which if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Even if you haven't seen it. It's been talked about on social media. But as far as issues goes, there are some comedy jokes that doesn't work and it's not as raunchy as some people may would like to be, and some of the comedy here, mainly the story, was not gonna work for everyone. But I appreciate the fact that yeah, this and the blackening that was basically saying "fuck you" to cancel culture. We can still make jokes about what we want, and that's the thing I appreciate. Comedy is meant to push boundaries. Comedy is meant to take risks. Comedy is meant to go into places you don't want to go. Comedy is supposed to freaking offend you, you sensitive ass people who cannot handle comedy. If you think comedy is not supposed to be sensitive, if you think comedy is not supposed to be raunchy or take risks, then you're the ones who killed the comedy. But again, no hard feelings. I enjoyed for what it was. Kicking in the top 20 is going to be Are You There, God? Is Me, Margaret. I thought this was a very nice little underrated gem. It was very sweet. It was very heartfelt. You're watching a movie about this girl who is basically she is exploring herself as a woman, but it actually has the balls to go there, and it's really well done. I thought it was well done. This is based on the Judy Blume book, which I never read, but I thought the directing in this movie was great by Kelly Fremont Craig, who I want to see do more stuff between this and Edge 17. I also liked Abby Ryder Fortson as the character. Rachel McAdams not getting enough love for this performance. She's great here. She should at least be in a short list for Best Actress. Kathy Bates was great. I thought the story was very interesting, and I'm not a girl, but this was a story that even if you're not a girl, you can actually understand and relate to some of the things they have to go through. So I thought this was really entertaining, and I thought I have to give a shout out to Luke Ponto for actually praising this movie and singing this movie's praises. Because if it hadn't been for him or a few others who talked about this, I would not have put this on this list. This was a really good film, and I would definitely recommend this. Number 19, we got some independent other country filmmaking in Pathan. If you don't know what Pathan is, this is an action movie that was made in the Bollywood side things, and I thought I thought Pathan, this was great. It has some really great action scenes. I really enjoyed what this movie was going for. I loved the characters in this movie. It was such a lot fun movie that knew what it was. It knew what it was, and it stands by it. The action was great. I liked the acting from the cast here. This cast here, they are Bollywood, of course, so you're definitely getting what you're paying for. But I thought the action was great. You had John Abraham here and Shah Rukh Khan, and you also had the lovely Deepika Padukone in here, which is good to see her again because I haven't seen her in anything since Triple X3 Returns Xander Cage. The action scenes were well shot for the country that makes this movie, and it was just a really solid story. It is awesome when it needs to be, is badass when it needs to be, and it just kicks so much ass in this. It's a little too long. I don't think it needs to be 2 hours and 26 minutes, but for an action movie, plenty of action is sprinkled in, and it had an interesting story to back it up with some great performances. So for that, no, Pathan is number 18. Number 18 is going to be They Clone Tyrone, which you will probably see this in my Black History reviews. So be on the lookout for it. But They Clone Tyrone was a very nice original Netflix movie that I think deserved a lot more. I like the concept of you have this government and they're cloning people here. And it was a nice little homage to sci-fi, but also to the black exploitation era. And I thought it was good. I thought this was great. And I thought overall, in terms of what this movie had to go on, it was just really awesome. Hey, Jason Entertainment, bro! I just finished this movie now. Oh, awesome! Hey, how's it going? How's it going, Jason? It's going great. It's really good. I just gave my list of the top 24 best movies. Number 24 was Killers of the Flower Moon. Number 23 was Sanctuary. Number 22 was The Iron Claw. And number 21 was No Hard Feelings. And number 20 was Are You There, Guys, Me, Margaret. And this was really underrated. And I'm going to give you guys my review of this movie. I did it on Twitch, so it will be edited into its own individual review. You will see that in February. Stay tuned. It's amazing, man. Loved it so much. It's very underrated. I love John Boyega in this. Such a good actor. Jamie Foxx, Academy Award winner Jamie Foxx. I love that guy as an actor and as a musician. He's really good too in one of his best roles. Teyana Paris, not the only movie you're gonna see her on this list, but I thought this was great. Maybe a little slow in the middle act, but I think They Clone Tyrone was such a good movie, and that is why it's number 18. Number 17 is going to be Renfield. I told you I would talk about this. This was not only one of the most underrated films of 2023, but this was one of my favorite scary movies of 2023. It's not particularly scary, but this was another movie that I was looking forward to. And this movie came out, it barely made any money. There was barely any marketing for it. And Renfield, I just enjoyed this. You got Nicolas Cage as Dracula. Do I have to say anything else? Is Nicolas Cage's Dracula. And between this and The Last Voyage of the Demeter and hopefully Nosferatu, it's safe to say that I think vampire movies are making a comeback, which is desperately needed after Twilight. Don't get me wrong, those movies may be guilty pleasures, but I can definitely see why Twilight killed the vampire genre, as a lot of people say it is. But it's great to see a vampire movie that is just being a vampire movie. It's very funny as well. I laughed a lot. I loved Nicholas Hoult as Renfield himself. I think Please Don't Let Me Down is Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult. He's a good actor, quite underrated. I loved Aquafina in this as the police cop. I thought she was awesome in this. I liked the Carnage candy that they give you. And this movie was just fun. It knew what it was. It's great to see Jason Entertainment in the comments here. So this movie, while it did have some issues for with the subplot of the cop's family, I thought overall the movie did enough to make it stand out. And I definitely really enjoyed a lot of what this movie had to offer me. And I really loved the fact that this is basically saying if you in a toxic relationship, get out, which is something I wish the After franchise would have done. But again, fuck After. That series is over. Did not see After Everything. I will not watch After Everything. I will never watch those movies again. But number 17, Renfield, this is a movie I can see myself rewatching again. Ooh, I'm gonna get some crap for this. But number 16 is gonna be Elemental. This was my most anticipated movie of 2023 as far as animation goes, if it wasn't Across the Spider-Verse. And Pixar has not had the best track record lately. I loved the Soul. I liked Lightyear, but I didn't love it. Turning Red, I'm one of the few people who liked it, and I thought Luca was quite underrated. And so I didn't know which side of the coin we were going to get with Pixar. And when this movie came out, this movie did bomb a little bit, but because of the great word of mouth, this movie was able to get out of the box office disappointment, and it made $458 million. Great success story for Disney Pixar. I thought that the way this movie was handling a relationship between fire and water was very solid. I loved Leah Lewis and Mamadou Athie here. I thought the animation is as gorgeous as ever. Pixar always nails it with their animation. Such great, so much awesomeness there. I very much really enjoyed the direction they were going in and they headed in. I loved the characters in this movie. The characters was just so fun and they were so likable. It definitely has issues in terms of the story, and some story beats could have been fleshed out more. And the whole immigrants thing is definitely there because this is a personal film for the director. But I thought this definitely deserves this recognition. And this is one of the better Pixar movies that they've done. If you are someone who is a Pixar fan, I suggest checking this out. This is definitely great for you and the whole family. And such a great end credit song too. End credit song too. And by the way, that whole little other character not even in the movie for that long. Getting into some David Fincher here. My number 15 is going to be The Killer. The Killer was awesome. It's more straightforward in terms of David Fincher's movies, but I think the way he was able to direct this movie was really good. You have a story about this unnamed assassin, and he gets caught up in some crazy shit, and pretty much has to go fight the people who are after him. And this was based on a graphic novel, which I never read, but I very much liked this movie because it was just a simple little action movie with an assassin take. It's like David Fincher, his chance to get to do something like this. All of you on this channel, you know how I am about David Fincher. I think this guy is such a great, talented director. Seven, Fight Club, Gone Girl, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Social Network, Mank, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So much great movies. Alien 3, that wasn't his best, but you know what? Even he has said wasn't happy with that. But this I thought was really good. I liked Michael Fassbender in this movie. I thought that a lot of the rest of the cast was great. Tilda Swinton, not the biggest fan of hers, but this is one of the few times I actually kind of like her in a movie. And overall, I just found this to be a very interesting little assassin film. So overall, it was great. I definitely recommend you guys check this out. I thought this really was interesting and it was very entertaining for what it set out to do. It's not my favorite David Fincher film, but I really enjoyed this. Number 14 is going to be Alex Payne's The Holdovers. This movie made me want to go back and watch Alexander Payne's other movies after this. After this, I watched The Descendants with Shailene Woodley and George Clooney. I love Sideways. It's such a great movie. But The Holdovers, this stood out to me because it was just a pure, simple Christmas feel. And it was such a very well done Christmas film that has so much going for it that I really enjoyed. I loved the performances in here of Divine Joy Randolph and Paul Giamatti and Dominique Sessa for his first movie. I thought they were great. I really enjoyed the story that was presented. Alexander Payne directs this movie very well. I very much really enjoyed the characters in here, and I very much loved a lot of what this movie was giving me. This is such a entertaining little film that it hits you hard, but it also gives you some great Christmas feels. I loved this is going to be a Christmas classic from now on. I bet money this is going to be a Christmas classic for being so damn awesome and so damn entertaining. So I definitely quite enjoyed this movie for what it set out to do, and the movie was just entertaining enough. You know, it's so entertaining, a lot of fun, and just it leaves you feeling warm. My one and only issue when it comes to this movie is I do feel like the movie kind of overstays its welcome just a little bit, but for the 2 hours, I didn't feel anything. I sat there, I enjoyed myself, and I just really enjoyed a lot of what this movie was giving me, and I have fun with it. This was one of my favorites for a reason because it's such a really strong story. I really love the characters and I really liked a lot of what this movie set out to go with. And for that, I definitely give this movie a lot of immense credit. And I definitely give this movie the proper respect it deserves. I loved the holdovers. And if you haven't seen the holdovers, get on it. Watch this movie. It's fantastic. And You will be glad you actually really watched this and you enjoyed it. This will make you feel very warm inside, and also teaches some beautiful lessons too. So definitely watch this film. It is awesome. I loved it. I loved the holdovers, and I think you will do too. Number 13. I'm probably going to get a shit ton of negative comments after this is over, and I look back at the playback for this. But at this point, after years of having to listen to people say how much this character ruined their life, I just don't care anymore. And that is gonna be the Marvels. Mm-hmm. The movie where I got these cool 3D glasses from. Yeah, I saw this shit in 3D. I have fun. I went to the theater to go see it with me and my sisters. It was a brother and sister day. I have fun with this. I will never understand for the hell of me. Besides the fact that people just are very angry with Marvel over the movies being and TV shows having to be connected for research, I will never understand because of the fact that online incels, for the most part, has gone after this movie, even before and after it was released. I will never understand why there are so many people who just turned their back on this, all because of three, count it, three women. But I don't think it's that. I think it's just the fact that people just didn't really have the interest in this because of the marketing. This is gonna be one of those movies I'm gonna have to freaking go full defense mode whenever I talk about it because this is a movie I really enjoyed. I was excited for it for the marketing, but I was a little worried because I was thought this was gonna pull some bullshit and be like, we're gonna treat men like crap, but it didn't. I had a lot of fun watching the Marvels in theaters. It has its issues. I think the villain, despite the motivation of trying to bring back the sun to the planet of Hala, not the best acted. Zari Aston is really phoning it in. I thought some of the comedy is not as funny. And the biggest issue, this should have been 20 minutes longer, 2 hours and 27 minutes. Bob Chapek, Bob Eager, stop doing that. Let these MCU movies be the appropriate runtime. I enjoyed this movie, but it's pretty obvious that this should have been longer because there are some things that are not as explored. But for what we got, I had tons of fun with it. I enjoyed it in the theaters with my popcorn and my soda and with my sisters and with a few more audiences. I love the three chemistry of these three girls. Teyana Paris, Brie Larson, and Iman Vellani. They were all really great. Kamala stole the show once again. Brie Larson, I think she was better here, even though I really much loved her in the first Captain Marvel. I'm still on the Brie Larson defense. I think she's a great actress, and she's a great casting choice for this role. Who do you expect? Rebecca Ferguson? Her to act like an anti hero? No. Teyana Paris, she gets a lot more here development wise than she did in WandaVision. I love Samuel L. Jackson in here, even though I think they could have not made him as funny as he did, but I liked the facts. Kamala's parents were fun to see. There was some creative action with the power switching. The effects looked nice. There was a one planet they go to with the musical thing that put me in my Disney vibes. I loved the action. The cats were great. Goose and the little cats, they had me laughing. And this was just a nice breeze of fresh air. Considering the fact that we have so many superhero movies like the Batman and such that is so dark and such, it's nice to have a movie like this where it's kind of more on the lines of just pure fun. Again, not everyone enjoyed it, but I'm not everyone. Okay, I enjoyed this, and my friend John Avenger, he enjoyed this. My mom enjoyed this. My siblings enjoyed this, and I can't wait to pick this up on Blu-ray in 4K because I'm a supporter of this, and I am a supporter of the first Captain Marvel. And this movie did not deserve the hate for this. This is the very reason why so many people have have when come to defend this movie. And there are also some people who don't like this movie. But for me, I enjoyed the movie for what it was, and I had a decent time when it comes to it. It's a movie that is not amazing, but I enjoyed this for what it was. And it's good enough to make my best of 2023 because I prefer this over the first Captain Marvel. And I love that movie too. I have fun. What you gonna do? Shut up. Come at me. Alright? Come at me with your pitchforks and torches. I don't care anymore. I enjoyed this. Alright? I really enjoyed the Marvels. And no one can say otherwise. I have my issues, but darn it, I had a good time with this movie. Number 12. Speaking of a Hulu movie, do you honestly believe I was not going to put this on here? No One Will Save You. This was a sci-fi horror film that released on Hulu, and this had a mix of Nightmare on Elm Street vibes, except with aliens. And so I was interested in this for one reason and one reason alone. Caitlin Dever taking on a project like this, which kudos to her for getting Abby in The Last of Us Season 2. She's going to have to go through a lot of freaking bullying, but us fans of her acting will be there to defend her and defend her performance on the show. But I love Caitlin Dever as an actress. I think she's awesome. I think she's talented. And I think she's just an amazing sight to watch. So if I have to, like I said, I have not used any clips here for a while, but if we're talking Caitlin Dever in this, she's great, and and the way that she commands the screen presence,
Oh my God.
she's great. Caitlin Dever was great. She brings out a lot of entertaining moments into it, and I just thought she was great for a movie that has no dialogue, which is one of my issues. There could have been a few minute moments of dialogue. I get it. I get it. You have to stay silent. The creature design was great. There's some good horror, violent moments into it, and you see Caitlin Dever having to freaking struggle to survive. And so I quite really enjoyed what she had to offer in this in terms of performance. She was great. I thought she did a very strong job. And for what this movie was, the directing was great. Brian Duffield also did a very good job in the directing department. Again, it has its issues. The ending is not the most satisfying, but it's an ending I appreciate that makes you think about it. But I definitely really enjoyed No One Will Save You. Number 11 is going to be Creed 3. This is a movie that I was looking forward to. I'm a big Rocky fan. I am a big Creed fan of the first two, and I think this is a great sequel. It's no longer a trilogy, but I definitely really enjoyed what this had to offer in terms of what it could play with. Michael B. Jordan comes in and directs the hell out of this movie. He does bring his anime elements into it, which is not going to be for some people, but I thought He did great in terms of what he was putting out. I thought he was fantastic, and I thought the way the performance played out was so great. He really was good here this time. This is where he gets to shine the most here. I also thought Tessa Thompson was great here as his wife. The emotional performances were really good. I thought a lot of the fight scenes were very well done. I also really enjoyed the cinematography and score here. The villain of the movie, Jonathan Majors, he was great. I know about the crimes and the personal stuff about Jonathan Majors. We're not talking about that. But I thought that he was great in this movie. He had a lot of things to go off of, and he was just really good in there. It's kind of a shame that his criminal stuff has kind of plagued him because now we're not going to see him and stuff anymore. But this is what happens when you put your hands on people. You have to suffer the consequences for it. But Creed 3 was just a very solid film. My only issues when it comes to Creed 3, of course, is I feel like there's one moment in here you could have used Sylvester Stallone, and but I understand he did not want to come back because of rights issues and tension with the producer. But overall, Creed 3 was just a fantastic third film. Alright, let's see how quickly we can finish this. Number 10 is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This was a great conclusion to these group of a-holes that I've really enjoyed watching. I really enjoyed what this movie was giving me. I thought this movie had a lot to go on. I thought this movie had a lot to offer in terms of the story. This is Rocket's story. This is the end of this trilogy. And I just enjoyed a lot of what was going on here. The Guardians going out for one last mission, but it also is able to deal with some emotional value in terms of what Gamora, Chris Pratt, as Star Lord has to go through with him not knowing the 2014 Gamora, having to move on from that. Rocket Raccoon and his consequences, what they do with Drax, what they do with Nebula, aka Karen Gillan, which whew, the more I say about Karen Gillan, the better. We'll be here all week. Zoe Saldana was great. I love Palm Clemente. The soundtrack was great. The action was very good, and it was a nice self-contained story that works so well. And all three of these movies works fantastically as a trilogy. The 2014 Gamora doesn't isn't going to work for everyone. The villain doesn't work for everyone, but I appreciate the fact that this villain is not fucking around. He is brutal, he is evil, and he is just ruthless. Easily one of the best villains I've seen in a long time, besides Scarlet Witch and Kane the Conqueror, which I do hope they recast. A little too long, but you know what? For the conclusion of these a-holes, I was more than satisfied. Not everyone loved this, but I thought this was a very strong conclusion to this series. I'm gonna miss these guys, but they've given me so many great moments. And James Gunn is going to do a fucking awesome job with the DCU. Stop bitching about who's writing these movies and give these movies a chance. We're not going back to the Snyderverse. That shit is done. It was fun while it lasted. Number 9 is going to be What's Love Got to Do with It. No, not the 90s one. No, this is the 2023 romance one. I really enjoyed it. It was it was Lily James, and then you have this beautiful love story, comedy love story with Lily James, who's always great, and you have this other guy, and they're in love, and I like the musical aspects to it. I thought the story was such an interesting one to tell, and I also really liked what the story was giving. I liked the emotional value here. I liked some of the characters stuff they give. It was a really good story. I liked the premise. I liked the story here. And the directing was really strong. I liked the creativeness in this. And it's just a very heartwarming story. And about Zoe trying to find love, and she is finding Mr. Right after dealing with so many Mr. Wrongs. This is not going to be for everyone because it is some British Pakistani humor, but for me, I enjoyed this movie for what it was, and I had a lot of entertaining factor in terms of it. Number eight is going to be, let's see what we got. We got Michael 101591 saying, "Hey Josh, hello Michael. How are you? Good to see you. We're just getting down to the last of this top 24 best of the year, and we will end this. So my number eight is going to be Missing. This was a movie that this is a spiritual sequel to Searching. I loved Searching. This one I thought was just as good. We are talking about some stuff in this movie that is basically real life. In this movie, you're dealing with so many intense things here. We're dealing with the fact of a daughter trying to find her mother, played by Storm Reed and Nia Long. And I thought this was very intense. The subject matter was intense. It was on point. I thought that the directing was really good. I thought acting wise, everyone brought their A game. Everyone. The tension was fantastic. I loved the characters in this movie. I definitely thought the story was really something to bring about, and I quite really enjoyed a lot of what this was giving me in terms of what you could play with the story. And I also very much loved so so much of the fact that this is a pretty tense movie. This is a pretty tense film that knows what it is and it goes for it. And it's it's thrilling, it's brilliant, but it also keeps you on the edge of your seat. And that's the number one thing you want to make sure you do when it comes to a movie like this, was to make sure you keep people under all your seats. And while this is not my preferred one of the two, I will say this is good enough on its own. And it was intense. And it was just very strong. Number seven is going to be Joyride. No, not the poor. No, not the Paul Walker one. No, not the Paul Walker one. No, 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 no. We're talking about. We talking about the 2023 one. This was great. I thought this was hilarious. Not the most easier for some people, but I thought overall this was an interesting little film. This movie was hilarious. I thought this movie had a lot to say. I thought it was such a fun time, and it was just pretty much entertaining here. There are some jokes in this movie that doesn't work. And of course, we have seen this before, but I thought it was the execution that made it work. This was one of my favorite. This probably is my favorite comedy of last year, besides No Hard Feelings. This is pretty much a mix of The Hangover meets Booksmart meets Bridesmaids, and It's very raunchy, so you do have to know what you're getting yourself into because it's not for everybody. But I quite enjoyed what this movie was giving me, and there are some very funny moments in here. I liked Aldea Lynn's direction. I liked the chemistry of the girls, Sherry Cola, Sabrina Wu, Ashley Park, and Stephanie Hizu. And this was a fun movie. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was fun. And while the movie may not be everyone's cup of tea, I thought overall this film did a solid job in giving me what I want. Is it perfect? No. Is it a masterpiece of comedy cinema? Absolutely not. But I thought for the most part, this was a really solid enough film that gave me what I wanted. Kicking in number 6 is going to be Scream 6. This is also kind of frustrating because now, since Spyglass, the way they've been acting with Scream 7 and the whole stuff with Nev Campbell and Melissa Barrera, this may drop down a little bit if depending on if we ever get Scream 7. But the way Spyglass is acting and the way Nev Campbell and Melissa Barrera they've just freaking reacted to Spyglass's actions, that movie will probably never see the light of day because I really enjoy these new characters. But Scream 6, I thought this was a very solid continuation from Scream 5. We got to know more about the core four this time around. I thought Melissa Barrera holds her own here as Sam Carpenter. She was a great final girl, also very badass, very vulnerable here because she's been through a lot. I thought Jenna Ortega once again stole the fucking show as Tara Carpenter, especially a one-liner that she gives in the third act where she says, "Now you're gonna die a fucking virgin." That was back. That was kick ass. Mason Gooding and Jasmine Savoy Brown were really good. I like some of the rest of the cast here. I liked Hayden Panettiere coming back. I like Courtney Cox here. I definitely miss Sydney. There's one moment in here you could have had Sydney, but I do like the fact they do mention her. And the thought you do have to suspend your disbelief in some parts, and the movie goes on a little long than it should. Also, not to mention, I think the third act, the way Delmont Maroney is just overacting is bloody ridiculous. And the reveal of the redhead sister being one of the Ghostface killers, I'm like, no. But I get it. I thought that I get it. You have some brutal kills. I love the New York setting. Ghostface is fucking brutal as shit. He's unapologetic. He don't give a fuck about your feelings. You also had a great opening with Samara Weaving being killed off. Do wish Samara Weaving was my kind of my film teacher, or anyone else. Oh, got throwing the Epictastic Joshua humor. But I thought overall, I thought that this was a very nice little Scream movie. If this is the last Scream film, unceremonious ending, but I'm okay with it. But if you're really gonna do Scream 7, if you're really going to finish the fucking trilogy of the Terror Carpenter and Sam Carpenter, do right, Spyglass. Make a new deal with Melissa Barrera. Make a new deal with Nev Campbell. Learn from your fucking mistakes from this shit before you try firing anyone else over feeling sympathy over what's going on in the real world, and do that shit right. Again, I don't know if we're ever gonna get a Scream 7 because the way Spyglass is acting, but if this is a good place to end with the Carpenter sisters, I'm more than fine, but just a little unceremonial. But I enjoy Scream 6. Not one Scream movie have I hated. Let's get into the top 5 best movies of 2023. But before I go there, I would like to give a little mention to Megan. Because let me tell you something. Megan had no reason to be as entertaining as it was. I saw that trailer and the dancing doll, Megan dancing in the hallway, killing the guy. I'm like, this is going to be so stupid and so ridiculous. I was wrong. Megan was actually really cool. A new horror icon is upon us. I know some people didn't jive with this, but I like that this is a self-aware movie with a killer doll just going around dancing in the hallways. I do wish this was rated R. Gratefully, there's an unrated cut of this that has more blood. Megan is a great horror icon. I loved Allison Williams in here. I like the direction, and it made me laugh in a couple points. I do wish they took more advantage into the horror side, which we're gonna probably get that in Megan 2.0, as well as Megan fighting Amelia. And the little girl here, while the performance is great, she can definitely be a little bit unlikable, but I understand why she's written this way because she's dependent on Megan to cope with an emotional loss. But I thought Megan was great. I can't wait for the sequel next year. Number 5. Speaking of this, John Wick Chapter 4. This franchise just gets better and better and better as it goes along. This franchise is one of the best action franchises that we've had in last decade, and I can't wait for Ballerina with Ana de Armas, Lynn Wiseman, Ana de Armas as a kick-ass hero. This could be her John Wick franchise in this. But I thought this was a great ending to the John Wick storyline with his character. Do not make a fifth one, Lionsgate. We do not need John Wick Chapter 5. It ended perfectly here with him going out and fighting like a G. Keanu Reeves is great in this role. I love the action here. I liked a lot of the other supporting characters here. I loved Rena Samayoa. Donnie Yen was cool. Lawrence Fishburne, Ian McShane. Scott Atkins, he's there. You could have cut him out a little bit. And the movie does go on for a little bit too long with one action scene. But at the end of the day, I thought John Wick Chapter 4. But at the end of the day, guys, I thought John Wick Chapter 4 was cool. It was a great ending to the series. I do not think we need another one here. So for that, if this is the end of the John Wick series, I'm more than happy with it. More than happy with that. So let's go into number 4. This is going to be Godzilla minus one. And Godzilla minus one, this is because I'm a Godzilla fan. I Until we get Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire, I thought this was cool. I loved Godzilla minus one. It was fun. This was a great story about grief and tragedy, and this was just a really good film. And I thought at the end of the day, this was a good little story that I quite liked. It was a very nice drama. This is a movie I haven't reviewed yet, but I will do a review of. And I thought overall this was fun. I thought the characters were likable. It's a very sad film at points, and it does go back to Godzilla being who he is. Scary. He's really freaking scary in this. I definitely quite enjoyed that side of things, and It's just a really solid enough film that knows exactly what it is, and for the budget that they had, this should be a lesson to Hollywood to take some notes and slash the budgets for some of these big blockbusters. You do that, everything will be just fine. So it may be a long film, but this is just a great Godzilla film that reminds us why we love the kaiju character. And it's just a really solid film. And it should be at least in consideration for Oscars for Best Foreign Film. But it's a creature feature, so that probably will not happen. In third place is going to be the Super Mario Brothers movie. Another movie where I rolled my eyes and I'm like, what are we doing here? You're just now going to do another Super Mario Brothers movie. Years after the 1993 movie. To be fair, video game adaptations have not had the best track record. They have been very hit and miss. There's some I like, but there's also some I hate. But last year was the year that showed that video game adaptations can work. You had The Last of Us season one TV series. You also had this movie, and also because of the successes of this, we're getting a lot more of them for better and worse. We're going to be getting a Legend of Zelda movie. We're going to be getting a lot more like Until Dawn and such. So, but when I finally decided to watch this movie when it came out, I prepared myself for the worst. I thought this was going to be one of the worst movies of 2023. It was not going to have anything good to go in it, but having watched this movie four times, Super Mario Brothers movie was fun. It puts you back into the Nintendo side of things, and it just goes for it. I definitely quite enjoy this. It's not perfect. I think the voice of Donkey Kong was miscast, needed more of a story, and you definitely could have had more of character development, like 10 minutes more for some character development, and a little bit more of new Luigi would have done nice. Also, some decisions in the soundtrack is not the best chosen, but overall, I thought this was a very nice love letter to the Mario fans and to the Nintendo fans that did everything right by the book. And because of this, I can't wait to see more of the Mario world, like Rosalina and Princess Daisy and Toadette and Wario and Waluigi or King Koopa. There's so many worlds, so many characters of Mario you could explore. I love this so much that I actually won a giveaway for this movie on Blu-ray by my friend, your movie, Anthony DeJoya, or your cinema guy, which who also I won the Midway Blu-ray copy for from. So this is a really interesting film that I enjoyed watching. I love the voice acting. Chris Pratt does a good Mario. I like Charlie Day. Keegan Michael Key is not even his voice. Jack Black, his standout moment with the Peaches song, which is going to be forever ingrained in our heads. Anya Taylor Joy is great as Princess Peach. Seeing a lot of the worlds like Rainbow World and Mushroom Kingdom. Can't wait to see more. And I think the Super Mario Brothers sequels is going to do more. I want to see more Nintendo worlds in film adaptation, like Metroid, like The Legend of Zelda. This is such a fun little movie. If you are a Mario fan, you already have seen this. But if you are one of those few people who haven't, which I don't know why you haven't, because this movie made $1 billion, get on it. This was great. All right, so the last two, everyone. Number two is going to be Past Lives. Past Lives. This is an A24 film directed by Celine Song. You probably heard me talk about this because I posted my thoughts on it a few weeks ago into December. This was a really solid film that definitely knew exactly what it was, and it was a beautiful love story about past love. It was beautiful. I thought it was emotional. I thought it was greatly poignant, and I thought just the performances were such something to enjoy. I thought everyone did a very good job here. The directing was nice. The directing was really solid. I liked the characters in this, and it was just a beautiful story that it did it right. Considering the fact that I have been suffering through all of the after movies from day one, from back to back, 2019 to 2022, I did not see after everything. This was a breath of fresh air. The romance was beautiful. I liked Greta Lee and the main lead guy. They were great. This should be at least getting a few more Oscar love than it did. Celine Song does a great job of writing and directing these characters. The cinematography was beautiful. The action moments of romance was great. It doesn't go into the traditional romance, but it does make you take a look at this and be like, all right, I get it. Lost love, you can't regain that. It's so beautiful. And it was just pretty short compared to the after films. So I quite really enjoyed a lot of what they set out to do in it. It's really solid. I thought it was entertaining. And also just the fact that this is a really compelling romance genre. I really enjoyed this. If you haven't watched Past Lives, I recommend it. It's very good. And it's a really competently made flick. But even with all 24 of the picks I just mentioned, even with Past Lives and Super Mario Brothers and Megan and all that, they couldn't hold a candle to what is going to be my number one. Because my number one favorite movie of 2023, it still is held this title for so long. It has maintained this title for so long. And no, to anyone online on social media, I am not gatekeeping this movie. I am not gaslighting myself into liking this because this movie. I think this movie is great. I legit think this movie is one of the best of the last year. You don't feel that way? Sorry, not changing my opinion. You're not going to change my tune on this. And all these people who say people we're going to go back hating this one, no, we're not. Because my number one is going to be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This was my most anticipated for so long after that last movie. And after that last movie, this second movie had a lot to live up to. Not only because the first movie was so surprising in the way of its animation, in the way of it told a story about Miles Morales, but also the fact that they were going bigger, they were going better. And when you watch this movie, you definitely see why it took them 4 years to do this. The animation styles are bigger. The story is a lot more grand. There's a lot more going on in here that is going to be a lot to take in for so many, especially for the cameos and such. But I think in conclusion, this movie did everything right. And this is a movie that could have easily crumbled with all of its freaking such that's going on. You have so many different worlds and so many characters being introduced. And with this being the first half of a two-part story in this trilogy, even though we're getting a Spider-Woman movie in development. And also touching a little bit on Gwen Stacy in the beginning, which honestly, I like that fact that that gave Haley Steinfeld more to do. I just enjoy this movie. 3 times I've seen it. I've seen it 3 times. 2 hours and 20 minutes. It didn't feel like it. This was a big moneymaker this summer. I'm grateful for that. I think Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to be the best of the trilogy. As of right now, I do think the first movie is better, but this is just as great. And if Beyond the Spider-Verse is better than these, and if just as great as this, we're going to have a perfect Miles Morales trilogy. Shamik Moore was great. I love him as his character. I loved Jake Johnson coming back. I like some of the other new characters like Spider-Punk, Jessica Drew, and Indian Spider-Man. I loved Haley Steinfeld once again as Gwen Stacy. I'm glad that she got more to do. They do touch a little bit on her and Miles Morales, which I do think is going to come ahead in the next movie where they proclaim their love for each other. I do enjoy a lot of the crazy action going on, and a lot of the exposition about the multiverse is welcomed. I do not have a problem with Miles Morales saying he's going to do his own thing. It will tell his story in the way he wants to tell it. A lot of people took issue with that one piece of dialogue. I'm sorry. That is just the least for you to complain about. And I like where this movie ended. Even though I do wish they would just had him just break out of the chain at the end where he finds the villain self. A lot of things about to come to a head in Beyond the Spider-Verse, so I am prepared, whether it's 2025 or 2026. But if you want to make sure the animation is as great as it is, and make sure you get a lot more great voice talent, and to have this be an emotional, devastating film for Miles having to make the choice that he's going to make, be my guest and take more time, especially with the animation. I have a few issues. It is a lot to take in, but that doesn't bother me. And I did not like 2099 in this movie, but I love the performance and I like the design. I just feel like he, as a character, he's just trying to villainize Miles into thinking he's not a Spider-Man. But we will see what more they do with him in Beyond the Spider-Verse. And I look forward to Haley getting her Spider-Woman movie with Jessica Drew and Silk after this. So the future of Spider-Verse is looking bright, and I hope they do put him in the MCU. Him and Spider-Gwen, Miles and Gwen. So number one is going to be Across the Spider-Verse. And with that being said, that's going to conclude the best movies of 2023. That didn't take long at all. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're wondering, I am eating right now, so I'm going to end this right now. And I will leave you guys off with, tell me your list in the comment section down below. Did you like my list? Did you not like it? Or just somewhere right in the middle? I would like to thank Network 98, Michael 101591, and Jason Entertainment for joining. I'll see you guys in more live streams. I got a lot more stuff coming to you this week. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in more. Acknowledge me, stay epictastic, join the epitasticness, and you guys keep it cool as always. So, goodbye. Well, that's going to do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay epitastic, join the Epictastic, and you guys keep it cool. Well, that's gonna do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist